Today, we're diving into a major shift unfolding in one of the most strategically important regions on Earth, the Baltic Sea. What's happening right now is nothing short of historic. For decades, Russia held a firm sense of dominance over Baltic waters, using geography, military positioning, and energy routes to tighten its influence. But today, that grip is slipping fast. A combination of NATO expansion, new defense systems, economic pressures, regional alliances, and technological advancements is transforming the Baltic landscape in a way Russia did not anticipate. This shift is happening quickly, decisively, and with long-term consequences that will redefine security and power in Northern Europe for decades to come. The story begins with the expansion of NATO in a way Russia always feared but could never fully stop. When Finland and Sweden joined the alliance, the map of Northern Europe changed overnight. What was once a region with vulnerabilities and gray zones suddenly became a tightly coordinated defense network. Finland's 300-kilometer border with Russia instantly became NATO's longest border with Moscow, creating a new defensive arc that Russia now has to consider in its every strategic move. Sweden's entry closed the last major gap in the Baltic Sea, turning the entire basin into something close to a NATO-controlled lake. This means Russia's Baltic fleet, once a symbol of strength, now faces pressure from all sides, boxed in by nations that are working more closely together than ever before. As this new NATO alignment took shape, Russia began to experience another challenge, the erosion of its military projection power. The Baltic fleet, historically based in Kaliningrad and St. Petersburg, once acted as a formidable presence. But wars, sanctions, and resource strain have weakened Russia's ability to modernize and maintain its forces. Ships that were supposed to be upgraded sit idle. Submarines operate with limited capacity. Air support is stretched thin, and with NATO surveillance constantly monitoring Russian movements, the element of surprise has faded. What used to be a zone of Russian military confidence has become a space where every step is tracked, recorded, and countered before it even gains momentum. At the same time, Kaliningrad, Russia's highly militarized exclave between Poland and Lithuania, is undergoing a dramatic shift in its strategic value. Once considered an offensive launch point for Russian missiles, Kaliningrad is now increasingly isolated. With NATO forces surrounding it from every direction, the region has transformed from a Russian stronghold into a potential vulnerability. Supply lines are limited. The Suwałki Gap, the narrow strip connecting Poland and Lithuania, is heavily monitored and fortified. Kaliningrad's isolation means Russia must constantly divert resources just to maintain basic operations there. Instead of being a spear pointed at Europe, the enclave risks becoming a trapped outpost with diminishing usefulness. Meanwhile, the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, have undergone a remarkable transformation. Once considered soft targets due to their size and proximity to Russia, they are now among the most technologically advanced and digitally resilient NATO members. Their investments in cyber defense, drones, missile systems, and intelligence coordination have increased their capability dramatically. Estonia's digital defense strategies are referenced globally. Latvia's drone programs have advanced quickly. Lithuania's integration with NATO command structures has made its military operations more seamless. These countries are no longer bystanders. They are active contributors shaping the region's security direction. Another major factor in Russia's declining influence is the collapse of its energy leverage. For decades, Europe relied heavily on Russian gas pipelines, and Russia used this dependence to exert political pressure. But after the events of recent years, Europe moved with unprecedented speed to cut ties. New LNG terminals in Poland and the Baltics, expanded pipelines from Norway, and rapid investment in renewables have rewritten the energy map. Russia's once powerful Nord Stream pipelines, once a symbol of economic influence, now stand as reminders of a strategy that no longer works. Without energy dominance, one of Russia's strongest influence tools has disappeared, especially in the Baltic region. The shift becomes even more striking when considering the economic and political alliances forming across the Baltic Sea. The Nordic countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, are now cooperating at levels never seen before. Their military industries are merging efforts. Their defense budgets are rising simultaneously. Their intelligence agencies share constant data. Denmark is enhancing naval patrols. Finland is upgrading its air forces. Norway is providing valuable Arctic and maritime intelligence. Sweden is strengthening its naval bases and submarine capabilities. Collectively, these nations are creating a northern shield that Russia cannot easily penetrate. Beyond military and energy shifts, technology has become a powerful force reshaping the balance of power. Drones, satellite surveillance, advanced radar, and underwater detection systems have narrowed the gap between large and small nations. The Baltics and Nordics have embraced these new technologies faster than Russia can counter them. NATO's surveillance in the region now provides near real-time data, making it extremely difficult for Russia to move naval or air assets unnoticed. Modern underwater sensors are tracking submarine activity. Drone patrols cover coastal areas. Advanced radar systems monitor every angle of potential airspace violations. Russia's previous advantage in stealth and unpredictability has eroded significantly. Another major change is the renewed focus on the protection of undersea infrastructure. The Baltic Sea is filled with crucial pipelines, communication cables, energy links, and trade routes. In the past, Russia's military had the capacity to threaten this infrastructure. But now, NATO countries have established stronger patrols, monitoring systems, and rapid response capabilities that deter sabotage attempts. Reports of unidentified objects or unexplained disruptions now trigger large-scale investigations involving multiple countries. The message is clear. The Baltic Sea is no longer a playground for hidden operations. It is a high surveillance zone where any suspicious movement is quickly intercepted. Russia's economic challenges further weaken its position. Sanctions, loss of trade partners, limited access to global markets, and internal financial strain all reduce Moscow's ability to fund large military operations or modernize its Baltic assets. The cost of maintaining bases in Kaliningrad, operating the Baltic Fleet, and responding to NATO's growing presence has grown significantly. While Russia must stretch its resources thin due to other conflicts and commitments, NATO countries are investing heavily in new equipment, training, and defense systems. The financial imbalance grows year after year, accelerating the power shift. Politically, Russia is losing influence as well. Many countries once hesitant to take firm stances against Moscow have now fully aligned with NATO's position. Nations like Germany and France have strengthened military cooperation in the Baltic. Poland and the Baltics have emerged as some of the strongest voices pushing for tougher stances on Russian activities. Even traditionally neutral countries have abandoned neutrality entirely. Russia's diplomatic circle is shrinking, and its ability to influence regional politics is diminishing. At the same time, Russia is dealing with internal uncertainties that affect its ability to maintain strategic control in the Baltic. Military losses, reduced recruitment, aging equipment, and growing domestic pressure create challenges that cannot be ignored. While Russia tries to show strength, the reality is that sustaining long-term presence in a region surrounded by increasingly coordinated NATO forces becomes more difficult each year. The Kremlin can attempt to project confidence, but the numbers, logistics, and geopolitics all tell a different story. The most symbolic aspect of this shift is psychological. For years, Russia viewed the Baltic Sea as a region where it could exert pressure and remind Europe of its power. But as alliances strengthen, militaries modernize, and neighboring countries gain confidence, Russia's intimidation factor fades. The narrative has changed. Russia is no longer the dominant player dictating the region's security environment. Instead, it is adjusting to a new reality where its influence is contested, limited, and increasingly overshadowed by a united and technologically advanced coalition. This shift doesn't mean the Baltic Sea is free from danger. Tensions remain high, military activities continue, unexpected incidents still pose risks, but the difference now is that Russia no longer holds the strategic advantage. NATO countries are dictating the pace of military development. Regional alliances are shaping the map. Technology is giving smaller nations powerful tools, and Russia faces an uphill battle as it tries to retain relevance in a region that is rapidly moving beyond its control. As we look forward, it's clear that the ground has shifted beneath Russia's feet. The Baltic Sea, once a zone of Russian confidence, is becoming a region defined by NATO coordination, defensive strength, and proactive strategy. Every nation on the Baltic coast is preparing for the future, investing in security, strengthening alliances, and embracing innovations. Russia, meanwhile, must grapple with the reality that its old methods no longer work in a world that has changed dramatically. The Baltic power shift is not a small adjustment. It is a restructuring of regional dynamics that will influence European and global security for decades. And the momentum behind this shift is accelerating, not slowing down. With strong alliances, strategic awareness, and technological advancements, the countries surrounding the Baltic are shaping a new order, one where Russia is steadily losing the influence it once held.